Hello, fifth graders. I know it's been a few days since I posted a video, so I figured today I'm going to go on and go over your science lesson with you for today. We are getting into a new unit, and by the way, I hope you're getting used to the online learning and everything. They took the week to kind of navigate Google Classroom and figure out how it works and everything. Some of you notice, when you post assignments, sometimes if you do an extra comma or you capitalize something that shouldn't be capitalized, it'll count it wrong. But don't worry, because I'm going to go in there and look at your answers. And so if you answered it correctly and just capitalized it or something, I'll still count it right. So don't worry about that. I know some of you were concerned with your science test and everything. But don't worry about that. I will definitely take into account your answers. So for today, I posted the booklet for your new science unit. It's all about physics. So I posted that on the Google Classroom page. You can either print that out and put it in your science folder and then highlight it with your highlighter like we would normally do, or you can just look at it online. You can read it just from the PDF. If you even want to open it right now and just listen as I'm going over it and read along with me, you could do that. If you have the Adobe Acrobat application on your device, you can actually highlight directly onto there because it's a PDF document, which is, you can open it in Adobe products. So if you open that up and you have Adobe Acrobat, you can use a highlighting tool directly on that. And you could probably even convert it to like a Microsoft Word document or a Google Docs document and then highlight it from there also. I always like to have the physical copy, so if you are able to print it out, that's probably the best option, but it is several pages long, so I totally understand if you don't want to print it out. That is fine too. Whenever we return back to school, you will get the physical copy of it. So anyway, today we're going to do lesson 70. And so after you listen to this lesson and you highlight all the stuff, I'm going to put in the review sheet on Google Classroom for you to fill out on Google Forms. Our science company sent me stuff for Google Classroom, but it's all PDF documents. So I'm going to just make a Google form of it to make it easier for you to just put your answer in there, so you don't have to scan me anything. You don't have to take a picture and send it to me, anything like that. You just put your answer right into Google Classroom and then I'll get it. So that's probably the easiest way. But anyway, so we have our new booklet and it's all about physics. And what we're going to start talking about first is force. Okay, so on page 3, we're going to talk about how forces affect matter. Okay, so I'm going to read paragraph 1. So if you follow along with me, then if you have the physical copy or the Adobe Acrobat copy, you can highlight what I ask you to highlight or just read along and keep in mind the important information. Okay, so paragraph 1. A force is a push or pull that causes objects to interact. A force has strength and direction. An object will move in the direction it is pushed or pulled. A force can make an object start or stop moving, change the speed of an object that is moving, change the direction an object is moving, or change the shape or size of an object. Okay, so a force basically is just a push or a pull on something. So at the beginning of the first sentence, I want you to highlight the word force. Okay, highlight force. And it can make something start or stop moving, change the speed or change the direction, or change the shape or size. So a force can do a lot of stuff. Okay, paragraph 2. We're going to talk about forces that require direct contact and forces that do not require direct contact. So that means like physically touching it or not physically touching it. Okay, so paragraph 2. Some forces, such as magnetism and gravity, do not require direct contact to cause interactions between objects. Forces that do not require direct contact to cause interactions are called non-contact forces. Forces that require direct contact between objects to cause interactions are called contact forces. Friction and buoyancy are examples of contact forces. Okay, so Excuse me. So we're going to get into more detail on these, but magnetism and gravity, they don't have to actually touch the object in order to cause it to do something. So obviously gravity, you can't see it, but if you throw a ball in the air, it's going to go to the ground because gravity has that pull on it, right? It doesn't have to touch it physically, it has the pull. Same with magnetism. You don't have to have magnets touching for them to be interacting with each other. It can have that magnetic pull, which is something Earth has as well. So if they have to touch, friction is like when you rub things together, when things are sliding like that. Like if you're trying to think of a good example, like if you're on a carpet, that's going to have more friction. You can't slide across it like you can a bare floor, okay? Because the friction is slowing you down, but you have to be touching it for it to work. Friction's not going to work if you're not touching it, okay? And buoyancy has to do with water. So that has to do with things kind of floating in water. That's a force as well. Okay, so at the end of the second sentence, you're going to highlight the words non-contact forces. So it's like magnetism and gravity. And then at the end of the third sentence, highlight the words contact forces. And we said examples of those are friction and buoyancy. Okay, so paragraph 3 is where we talk about balanced and unbalanced forces. So when an object is at rest and not moving, the forces acting on the object are described as balanced. An object moves when forces acting on it are unbalanced. So if you're just sitting there, the forces are all balanced. You have a same amount of push as you do pull. But if somebody were to come and push me out of my chair right now, that's an unbalanced force. They would be pushing on me and I would fall over. So I would not be balanced anymore. Okay? So at the end of the first sentence, I want you to highlight the word balanced. So that's when the object's just still, it's not moving. And at the end of the second sentence, you're going to highlight the word unbalanced. Okay? Unbalanced. So then at the bottom of your page, if you have this printed out or if you have some kind of copy that you can actually write on, then you can fill in this graphic organizer. You don't have to, but I'm going to tell you what's going to go in there. Okay, so the graphic organizer says force. So in the box that says a force is a, you would write push or pull. It's all forces, a push or a pull. And then the two things a force has, so you have a box that says a force has, the two things it has are strength and direction. So it matters how strong that force is and which direction it is going. Okay, so where it says a force has, you write strength and direction. Okay, in the next box, you're going to write the 4 things a force can do. 4, I know it looks like 3 down there. Okay, so it says a force can, and you're going to write make an object start or stop moving. Okay, so like I said in my example, if somebody pushed me out of my chair or pushed me down, they're going to make me start moving. But if somebody on the other side caught me, they're stopping me from moving. Those are both forces. Okay, they're just different types of forces. Okay, and then the next thing, a force can change the speed of an object that is moving. So that's going to be on the second line below the words a force can. You're going to write change the speed of an object that is moving. Okay, so like your accelerator in your car, that's a type of force. It's going to make it go faster. Your brake is another type of force. That's going to make you slow down. So those forces are changing the speed of the object, your car. Okay? So we have 2 things already. We had make it start or stop moving. Change the speed is the second thing. So the third thing we're going to write is change the direction an object is moving. Okay, so if I'm going this direction and somebody pushes me the other way, it's going to change my direction. Okay, so the third thing, change the direction an object is moving. And then the last thing, the fourth thing we talked about, is you can change the shape or size of an object. Okay, sorry, I had to let my daughter in the door there for a second. Okay, so the fourth thing we said, change the shape or size of an object. So if you think about a balloon is very flat when you get it, when it doesn't have any air in it, but the force of your air from your mouth is going to change the shape and the size of the balloon. That is a type of force, the air from your mouth. Okay, so the fourth thing it does, change the shape or size of an object. Okay? And so this has a little experiment that you can do at home. Basically, if you set your highlighter down and you push it, it's going to go in one direction, right? It's going to move in the same direction of that push. Okay, that's an example of a force acting on the object. Okay, and then the harder you push it, the farther it's going to move, right? Okay. And then sometimes you can use force, but an object won't move. Okay, so if you think about moving your refrigerator, that might be a little harder to do. Or if you think about, like I have an island in my kitchen. If I try to push that island, it's going nowhere. There's no way I can move that. Okay, so the force won't make the object move because it is balanced. Okay, it's got the same amount of force going one way as it does the other. So it's not going to move, it's balanced. Okay. And so then another example of a non-contact force, if you hold your piece of paper up and then you let go of it, something is pulling it down, right? Is there something physically touching it to pull it down? No, that means it's a non-contact force, nothing's touching it, and that force is gravity, right? Okay, but holding it up, I'm holding it up, right? So this is a contact force. I have to physically contact it to hold it up. Okay? And then we're not going to worry about the other ones. I think you kind of get the idea, probably. Okay, so that is it for force. And it had like an example where you throw a wadded piece of paper into the trash can, moving the paper ball into the wastebasket, which you have all done in my class before, so you probably know how that works. Okay, so that's it for force. So you should have, and I'll show you on the little screen here, at the bottom of your page, hopefully you got all that I told you. Okay, so at the bottom of that page, you should have all of this written down. So force is a push or pull. It has strength and direction. It can make an object start or stop moving, change the speed of an object that is moving, change the direction an object is moving, and change the shape or size of an object. Okay? So that is it for this. There's no, slideshow to watch for this lesson. But remember, there is a way to log on as a student and watch those slideshows with these science lessons. And I posted the username and the password that you can use to do those. I know the last lesson we did had one of those. So hopefully you're able to go on there and look at the slideshow as well. I'm going to post the lesson review for this lesson. So whenever you feel ready, you can go ahead and fill that out after looking over this lesson. So I'll see you for the next one.